Good evening to all the speakers on the dais and the coordinator for the session and all the invitees and delegates for this session. And I'm very thankful to be invited for this session because my association goes with NIQR since 1969 when the association was started as Indian Institution of Inspection. That is the way it started, from Lucas TVS, Sundaram Fasteners, Addison, Mr. Govind. We have to remember those stalwarts, Mr. Chaudhary, Mr. M.M. Krishnan, Mr. Govind, Mr. S.A. Chandran, T.S. Chandran of Enfield. There are a few, 7 or 8 people, and I was a graduate engineer, maybe 22 years or 21 years old, and doing all the legwork. So that is the way it started. And now I'm able to see that it has grown in size and shape and content. And over the years, many presidents whom you have met yesterday and today have taken the association. Hats off to the people. And it's very nice to organize a convention called Global Quality. So I thought I'm going to talk to you on maybe 20 minutes I'll take. We are all talking about global quality. So I have a certain doubt in my mind. The quality, when I joined Lucas TVS, there used to be 3-4 levels of quality. In the personal life, even in engineering college, 63, 68, we used to run to the Paris corner to get a second quality of Bata shoes for 11 rupees. Whereas the new shoes used to cost 17 rupees. And there is always a second quality, right? There's never... So we used to wonder, what do you mean by seconds quality? And we were looking for more seconds quality because it'll be cheaper and you can be able to afford the money. This was 60. Then when I joined Lucas TVS, and the people started talking about inspection. Every company used to inspect, right? Take the good ones. The absolutely superbly good ones will go to the export. And one thing shade less will go to the OEMs. And where neither we can reject nor accept will go to the aftermarket. This was the attitude of people at that time. So, whereas India have come all the way over the years. So I thought today what is important? When you say global quality, in my opinion, it is global business and quality will be a lever or a business winner. It is not global quality. Please don't get the impression there is something called global quality, there is something called Indian quality, there is something called German quality, there will be something called American quality. It is not so. Quality is never ending. What is quality? Quality is measure of excellence. What is acceptable today is not acceptable to the customer. I'll just give you 2 examples. Please, married people, not for bachelors. We all say customer satisfaction. We can never understand the customer. If somebody says, I understood the customer, it's a bluff. You can never, ever understand the customer. For me, my wife was the customer. I got married in 75, right? Today, maybe 25 plus 23, 48 years old, but I have not understood my customer, right? Let's be honest about it, right? Hope you will excuse me, Gauri, right? Malayapan may not say the same thing. Why I am saying, I used to go to Sri Lanka for consultancy. When I go, my wife will never say what she wants. When I come back, she expects what did I buy from Sri Lanka. And if I give something, you will say, this is already available in Pothis. Why did you get from Sri Lanka? And finally we agree, and finally we arrive at it's good. What is the price you gave? For all the husbands, please don't give the true price to... So you always give 15%, 20% lower. Don't make it too low because they'll think it's untouchable. It's not worth it. So that is over. So she never told me what she wanted. And... So that's a customer. She never defined. Today, customer never say what they want. This is one type of customers. I have 2 daughters-in-law. There, the customers are different. When I buy a salwar kameez somewhere, both of them will say, excellent, pa, very good. Where did you buy? They'll wear it next day to either to their friend's place or And next evening I asked him, how is it? It's okay. I said, yesterday you said very good. Today you said it's okay. What happened? So what is acceptable yesterday is not acceptable today. Right? So you can never ever understand customer. So how do you win this business? The only way is to make the product excellent. Again, my own experience. In '69, I bought a transistor. Right? At that time, Indian transistors were Philips and Murphy. Sometimes, like ECTV, when we bought, you turn the tune, right? There used to be a rheostat or whatever you call it, right? You've got to adjust that. You will see the top will be MGR picture, bottom will be Shivaji Ganeshan, right? You won't get it. It's so nice. Whereas today, sitting at the cot, you keep on pressing the button, and nobody has seen one channel completely today. Because there are more than 1,200 channels, we don't know which one is coming, which one is going. So at that time, I bought a transistor from Burma Bazaar. Those who are in Chennai will know where is Burma Bazaar. I don't know whether it's still there or not. I bought a Sony transistor for 250 rupees at that time, 1970. It is half of my salary. Right? I joined as a graduate trainee for 400 rupees. It's a big salary at that time. Right? So, 250 rupees you got a transistor, and there was no bill. Nobody gave me a bill. There was no guarantee card. Packing was not there. I just brought it home, put it. It ran for almost 15 years. Right? We used it. We don't know Sony at that time. We just bought. So, what sold? The product excellence is what is sold. It is so, my only submission to all of you is, please think whatever you do should be of excellence. So now what I am trying to do is, everybody talks about zero defect, zero defect, zero defect. The customer doesn't know what a defect is. Customer doesn't measure any dimensions. Right? My Hari supplies a lot of items to many companies. The customer won't know what exactly the dimension. You buy a car. You don't know the dimension. You don't know the dimension of the shock absorber. You don't know the dimension of the seat or wiper or frame. Customer uses the car. He only touches the product. Not you, not Ravichandran, not Mr. Balaji or not Mr. Ravikant. You don't know. It is the product the customer touches. So the customer will come to you only if he gets discomfort is not there. It is not defect. So we have to move to the next stage, Indian companies, what I call beyond zero defect. So these conventions, please think differently. Beyond zero defect. I'll put only 10 slides, don't worry. It's last session. I should not be a lost session, LOST. So I'll make it as interesting. There are speakers available. They will do it much more interesting than what I'm doing. All right? The next one is to advance. Yeah, I'm just going to touch what is zero discomfort, where, why, and the approach, right? As I said, customers cannot understand and dimensions and defect, right? Companies can deliver zero defect, but still customers may end with or may not be happy with the product. So the aim of the company is to map all the discomfort points, right? Experienced by the customer today and what you will experience in the future and ensure it is not there in the product. So we need today Indian companies, please shift zonally. We can't be talking last 45 years. I was in Japan in 1985 for 6 months. When I came back from Japan, it is something I couldn't believe. When I went to Japan, they asked me, are you doing policy management? This is 1985. I don't know what is policy management in Indian companies. I said, we know policy, what it is. We do policy, but not as company-wide. They asked me, Ravi-san, what it is. I said, we have a system called LIC. So we buy LIC policy. We don't know about policy management. Really, we don't know. We are supposed to be a better company, 65, right, 85. I went to Toyota. I walked around the line with the general manager who took us around. I was one of the participants out of 20 people from Asia. From India, I was selected, so I was there. I went around. I asked him what is just in time. The man said, Ravi-san, we can only tell you what it is. So 17th, can I take time? You have no problem, right? Because you are my customers. If you feel unhappy, please raise your hand. Then I will cut it down, right? So I went around the line, and 17th station is a tire assembly, and nobody looked at us. Whereas in Indian company, when visitor comes, we stop all the work looking at them, right? And we are also made to keep it clean when visitor comes only, all right? This is the other side of ours, we have to change. So we went around, and the girl was driving the lorry or the truck. She was the driver. She got down from the seat, went on the rear side, opened the rear side cabin, rolled the tires, it went in inside. Same only. And Japanese girls, you know, they are very puny, right? And still, she was very healthy, so she did that. 400 tires went in 10 minutes into the underground. Bucket gone. So I asked the gentleman, this is just in time, he said. I asked him, how do you know she delivered 400 tires? Nobody counted. He couldn't understand my question. So he took a piece of paper and wrote 400, read. I said 400. He said she's also reading it as 400. Whereas Indian companies, please don't mistake me, Hari, suppliers, Indian companies, we have 2-3% allowed. Right? Deliberately we count 3% less and supply. Or some companies, anyhow, these are all old stories, not now. So then I said, you say quality? Nobody checked. There is no inspection. The tire went straight to the line. He couldn't understand my question. I said, what do you mean? I said, nobody checked your incoming tires. He said, Ravi-san, they are our suppliers. And we do an assessment. We do the process audit. We confirm the process. We confirm the systems. And they give self-certification. No need to check. Gone. I said, there is no GI. What do you mean by GI? It's called goods inward note in Indian companies, or gin, right? So those who like alcohol, they want to call it as gin. Otherwise, companies who are highly, right, non-alcoholic, they call it a GI note, right? They don't want to say gin, right? So this is what happened. Nobody recorded. He said, Ravi-san, we build all the cars with tires, not without tires, and there is a schedule. 1700 is the batch quantity, so we know what it's multiplied. So our computer will say at that time, it'll give. It's a Bridgestone company, and the schedule is shared between Bridgestone and at that time Yokohama. We do that. Gone. So I came back. I want to see how Lucas TVS used to work. Not today. First we stop at the gate. You have to give, nowadays we have added 2 more. You have to give Aadhaar card. You have got COVID, no COVID, and you also give PAN card today. And then the driver is allowed inside. He has to go to purchase department to get a signature. I'm talking 85. Purchase will sign. They will say there's another department called inventory control. They have to sign. We don't know where it is. Finally, he locates, sign. Then he goes to the stores. By the time lunchtime, everybody has gone. This fellow is waiting with a truck. Then everybody comes. You need a forklift to unload. The forklift driver takes 5 minutes rest after lunch. So by the day he comes, unloads. Then there's a counting takes place. In all our Indian companies, counting can be done only by security. You don't believe your storekeeper. You pay him money, appoint him. But you don't believe your storekeeper. So only he has to count. And then this goes on. Finally, they hand over. And Lucas, we used to have 3 stores. Incoming, raw material, component store. Incoming store, somebody will receive, and then they have a handing over document, same company. I am sitting here, the next man is there, but I have a document to hand over. So I hand over. Then quality man comes into picture. And those days, quality has never taken samples. The samples were taken only by production planning control, like Gunashekhar, who is sitting here, VMG, he knows. He'll just go and beg the quality man, his urgent line will stop, please do something. This fellow will say, okay, take it. Sometimes he has a problem at home, he will say, don't take it, it's rejected. Because quality can reject a component because there are 200 dimensions in a product. You can reject for any dimensions. And then we have a goods inward note, 7 or 11 copies, 1 for purchase, 1 for inventory, 1 for the goods receiving deck, 1 for quality, 1 for file copy, 2 copies for accounts because accounts will always lose 1 copy. It's not available. And we used to have a bloody system called, sorry, my apologies for using the word, we used to have a system called carbon. So we put carbon paper inside and we want to do cost reduction. Only one carbon paper is given to the storekeeper. So he puts on one below the other, write again, write again. Happy, we were saying very efficient. This is 85. Today you cannot run. So you've got to think differently. That's what I'm trying to come to. Right? See, if a company achieves this zero discomfort, right, it's a business winner. As customers will feel and experience, right, discomfort-free products and get delighted and would be happy to come back to you, and they will be the promoters for your products. India has to shift to this level, right? So why do you need this zero discomfort? To conquer. So for this, how do you do? We have to move up the ladder. I want to introduce this. The first meeting I'm doing, I'm introducing a concept called 7Q. So if you want to be world class, you've got to be 7Q. Because I want to compete with my good friend sitting here, Mr. Rajamani, IT people, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, right? Probably now because of the political situation, they may come out of G and use something else, I do not know. But today I want to call 7Qs. What are these 7Qs? We have to move up the ladder. We can't be talking. Today, 86 we brought in this part of the world. Zero defect, 7QC tools, Pareto, right? Then you have the check sheet, histogram, etc., control charts, correlation. It's all outdated. You can't be now talking about Kaizens. You can't be now talking about how I use quality. This is all gone. 45 years, you can't be talking the same thing, right? So we have to think differently. So I thought I can use a concept and just test with you if it is okay, all right? What are the 7 Qs? I put here the first Q is quality by chance. Right? You may get quality. This is 1960s. Sometimes I call quality by accident or quality by chance. I'm leaving these things with the NIQR. If you want, you can circulate to people. That's choice is yours. If it is good enough, otherwise don't do that. Survival is extremely difficult for these companies. Right? And you know, in our own case, you can see it's a quality by chance is our electricity system today. You don't know when you will get power, when you will not get power. Right? You don't know when you will get water, when you will not get. There are something like that which all of us feel in day-to-day life. Second is quality by inspection. This is, well, at that time there are people like Dodge roaming, they said single sampling, double sampling, sequential sampling, OC curve, alpha and beta, right? Mill standard, etc., etc. So by sample, but that won't give you quality. That will be survival is risky. Third level, what I call 3Q, quality by assurance. You have a system, you have got an SOP, you have got a procedure. Here, I say survival over long period is a question. Because this will give you procedure. If you follow, same results will come. If a product is weak, even with quality assurance, you will get only weak product. Because fundamentally there is something wrong. Only you make sure the procedure is right. Right? Like in India, our election process. Procedure is right. But our system is weak, so we don't get good people to govern the whole country. So what's happening? So that is survival over a long period is a question. That's also not good enough. So I said we should move to 4Q. This is prevention. Tamil sollirkom, Tamil sonna பாதி பேர் தெரியாதும்பாங்க. வருமுன் காப்போம். That is போக்காய் okay. வந்தபின் பார்ப்போம் is 8D. Why it has happened, I give a lot of explanation. Right? செய்வதை திருந்தச் செய். Right first time. Phillips Crosby சொன்னா கை தட்டுறோம். நம்பூர் ஆள் சொன்னா கை தட்ட மாட்டோம். செய்வதை திரும்பிச் செய். We believe in that. Right? So we are going to change our way of thinking. So I say prevention. Prevention is better than cure. Allah, very good. So you have pokai, detective pokai, predictive pokai. That's okay. But you can survive only for some time. What we should move, next level survival, right? I say perfection. Whatever you do should be excellent. Like what I said, the Sony from Burma Bazaar, it should be excellent. Right? That's possible. It is possible. Our Indian engineers, we can learn from everybody. Excellence. So perfection. That is also not good enough. There are many people in the world who do perfection. You have to compete with people. Your products have to compete globally. Right? So you need to go to innovation. How do I make it better? For example, take cell phone. Cell phone came out only to telephone, isn't it? Only for cell phone. Phone means call. But today, I did a survey before I retired from Lucas in 2015. Among Lucas TVS, some of about 500 people, I did a survey. We found only 15% of the time it is used for talking. Remaining 85% of the time it's music, it is WhatsApp messages, so many things. So it's one product, multiple use. Somebody has innovated, right? So world is moving towards that. So if you don't innovate, what do you mean innovate the product, innovate the process, innovation of the people? If you don't innovate, you will be out of... What happened to Chandrayaan? Let's learn from the space. They are paid something 60% of salaries of engineers in private companies. All our scientists, and they don't get what the private companies give for a chief executive or an executive director. It's much lower. And they brought Chandrayaan, unknown place. We don't know on the other side of the moon. The earlier there was a failure. And they are going to integrate so many sciences. It is not only electrical engineering. It is not mechanical engineering. It is not physics. It is not chemistry. It is not electronics. It is not space science, remote science. There are so many things they have to integrate. And the integration never happened in one compound. Somebody sitting in Tumba, somebody sitting in Sriharikota, somebody in Mysore, somebody in Bangalore, somebody in Germany, somebody in US. So what does it mean? That means you have got to innovate new ways. That is also not good enough. You have to create. The next level, highest level is creation. You go to Tamil Nadu, the Brihadishwara temple. It was built 1,100 years ago. There was no wind tunnel. There was no Mr. Kamakodi or IIT to do, right, simulation. There was no L&T for material handling. Right? There is no incentive. Right? People were living there and nobody can build. Each one was making a part. Only one temple they built. And it was right. They didn't build 10 temples. I always say, ladies, pardon me, right? The mother never says, I'll produce 10 children. The hospital will say, take the best, leave the rest. She produces only one. And that is the best in the family. How? It is a process. Right? What is the process? First, prevent her from interacting with mother-in-law, number one. Brother-in-law, number two. Don't take all your factory problems to her. Take her for a walk. Anyhow, etc., periodical checking. Finally, the baby comes out, the mother-in-law comes, is my grandchild. Right? So process is important. You have to go to that level of creation. Indian companies operate between 85 and 2003, my strong views and with data. We are all hovering between 2Q, 3Q, 4Q. This is not good enough. I'm sorry to say that. You may have many conventions, right? We may have many things, and we'll be happy today. Tomorrow we'll forget. World doesn't work like that. You've got to take it to your heart. 5 H's are important. First is head. You must know what is in your head. Second is heart. It is not for somebody you are doing because you believe you are India, you want India to move up, so you are contributing. Heart. Third is hand. Right? You can't be watching. Fourth, you have to have healthy habits. 5, happiness. So it's 5 H will make you. So this is what is important. So Indian companies have to move very quickly from this. Another 10 years is our life. If you don't turn around in 10 years, you can't be managing the way you think. It is not. And that too, electronics. We are talking about parts per trillion, not million. PPM are gone. So please think differently. Change your way of working. The next is, What is the domain focus? I put here, when you say quality by chance, only function of the product you look, whether it works, that's all. I used to have argument with my own people in Lucas TVS. Starter used to work, but starter painting of the yoke was bad. I rejected as quality man. I was taken to task by managing director of the company, Englishman. It's going under the bonnet. Why do you want painting? After all, starter will do. And I was under pressure. I was a young fellow. Not that I'm old now. I feel young, right? At that time, I was 29 years old. A big meeting, I was hauled up for stopping the starter. I was bold enough to tell the managing director and the team, thank you. All of us wear undergarments. Do you accept tone undergarment? Nobody will see. That is the principle you should have. You can't violate principles. The whole thing turned around. So what I'm trying to tell you, that is function of the product. That's not good enough. Now we move to the next level, Q2, function and defects. Then only we understand the function is not happening. Why? There is a defect. Why there is a defect? There is an error. Why there is an error? There is a process wrong. So you have to go to that level. Third, I call it as quality by assurance. You have procedures and systems, in addition to dimensions and functions. Fourth level, you have to go to the process. If the process is perfect, result will be there. Process is not measured only by output. Process is measured by process inputs. That's why you got Industry 4.0. Everybody wants to do Industry 4.0. I don't know what is Industry 4.0. Oh, you are doing? Somebody asked me, hey, Ravichandran, why Lucas hasn't gone for TPM? Others are doing TPM. What is right for you? My wife used to tell me, hey, I used to have a Civic when I was in service. After retirement, I have a Verna. Next door has got a BMW. My wife asked me, they have got a BMW, you are having only Verna. My grandson from Netherlands used to tell me, Tata, don't buy BMW, big money waste. So I can buy so many cycles. So that's ruled out. Next is, he said, they have got a huge TV. Our TV, I don't know the size, 42 inches or 50 inches. I said, if you want a big TV, I have to cut open my drawing hall and dining hall. I have to remodify the house. It's not possible, gone. Third, she said, they have a 2-door fridge or 3-door fridge. We have got only 1 door. I thought house itself has got 1 door. How do you want 3-door fridge? Right? That's not suitable to me. The fourth point was the worst point. She said they are taking, every day medicine is coming to them. The pharmacy comes and gives medicine, whereas we don't buy anything. I got shocked of my life. I said the gentleman takes because he wants to not to go to the hospital. If I take the medicine, I'll be in the hospital. So what is your chemistry? Every company differs. Please don't simply copy, adapt. Don't simply adapt what is right for you. All are not right for you, right? I cannot have a slim shirt. Today people say, I've got a slim shirt. Somebody told me, sir, next generation shirt will be with the body. I can take bath. By the time it will dry, I need not change it. All right? The fashion is going in a different way. So next is this, I call people, technology, methodology. I call TPM. In fact, I wanted to put technology, peopleology, and methodology. You need technology. Without technology, you cannot survive. You need peopleology. Don't ask me where is peopleology. We are Indians speaking maximum English, so we can coin new words, peopleology. And methodology, like what you saw in Toyota, I said, what is right for us? We cannot adapt everything. What is right for us? That is not good enough. Next level, you need to have breakthroughs in products. Cross-learning. Today, the previous speaker from talked to you how, right, 3D printing used on by the medical profession. Cross-learning. You always believe in life, individual intelligence is inferior to collective wisdom. Individually, you can be brilliant. That doesn't mean anything. Collective wisdom is what is important. The next is dream a new state. That's what we want. If you want to be in the world, you have to create product. It is not there in the world. So dream a new state, new customers, new territories, and new way of doing things. That is what India will be top of the world. You've got excellent engineers. You've got so many avenues to learn. So please, knowledge is power today. Knowledge is power. Without knowledge, you cannot do anything. So this is what you should keep in mind. Last 2 slides. Right? Accountability, how it moves. Earlier quality, nobody was accountable when it is by chance. When quality by, right? Inspection, only quality department. I know Lucas TVs, I had 300 bench viewers. Gunsegaran knows. When I changed the factory after my return from Japan, all of them moved out. I made worker responsible. So I took them for training. I asked the worker, can you be responsible for quality? No, sir. That's not my job. Because we all know first thing in a company is what is not my job. We don't want to know what is my job. We want to know what is not my job. So I asked the workers in a session, I said, who cooks at home? The worker told me, it's 85 story. The worker told me, my wife cooks at home. How is the cooking? Very good, sir. Is it as good as Lucas TV's food? He was hesitant to comment. He said, more or less same, sir. Right? He doesn't want to say Lucas TV's food is bad because it used to be good. It must be good also now. Right. Then I asked him, who checks the food after cooking? In Tamil, yaarpa check pandra, saapta, sameta, cook pannada, right? He said, my wife, sir. Oh. Why can't you have one more wife, one for checking, one for cooking? This fellow came running to me to hit me. One fellow stood up, sir, I don't mind. You told me that, tomorrow I tell me your wife. So they changed because we taught them wrongly. They all came from agriculture. They don't know what is quality. They don't know what is production. Our own fellow said, your job is only to produce. The moment it crossed the gate to quality, it's not my job. You only passed it. I never passed it. Right? We all gone through in life. None of you hope we are going through now because the production people are more matured now. Hope so. Right. So that is what is today. You need to think differently. So who is the authority? Production. When you come to assurance, quality and production. When you come to the next stage, prevention, design, marketing, quality, production. When you go to the innovation stage, it is management come into picture when you want perfection. Because money has to be given. The managing director, where is the bottleneck? You have no bottle is here even for water, right? Where is the neck? Nobody's. Where is the neck? Top. Always in any company, the bottleneck is the top, never at the bottom. It is not the worker, it is not the supervisor, it is the manager, managing director, and the people are the bottlenecks. Right? So they must now get involved. Very early days, managing directors have never seen factories. They only see Kanimera, at that time no Taj, right? Nothing else. Customer will come, they'll all go to Kanimera, have an evening dinner, go. Whereas today, the customer wants to see the product, wants to see the plant, wants to see the process. Things have changed. Last one, there must be a desire, right? Tamil solluvom, ettu surakai, karikku udavadu. I had a teacher in my school, I still remember. He used to write sugar, sakkarai nu Tamil எழுதுவார் ஒரு பேப்பர்ல திதிக்கு மாடாம்பாரு. அந்த காலத்துல டான் கேட்பார், இந்த காலத்துல டான் கேட்டால் ஸ்ட்ரைக் பண்ணிவிடுவான் ஸ்டூடெண்ட். இந்த காலமே வேற. அந்த காலத்து திதிக்குமா, will it be sweet அப்படிம்பார். No, only sugar will be sweet. So it has got to be done. Desire must be there. Desire alone is first a dream. You must dream big. I want my company, I want my country to be the best in the world. Dream leads to desire. Desire onwards develop. Develop onwards do. Do with discipline. Next 7th D will be deliver. So you need this. If you don't do this, then we will be out of business soon. So don't think Indian companies can survive the present way of working. Okay, 5 years, 3 years, okay. But very difficult unless you change. So what are the 2 levers? Quality and productivity. Right? I put a key here. Don't go through that. It's a lot. Right? You need technology, methodology, peopleology, and broad-based breakthroughs and tools. Please come out. Don't be talking about the same tool, 7 QC tools. They're all dead, outdated. Right? Today, when we were students, we used to have tables up to 16, mental. Today, if you ask the children in school, they don't know tables. They don't know table and chair. Right? Without calculator, they can't do. Changed. So you need different tools. You can't simply talking. There are so many tools I have listed. Depending on the company, they must start using the tools if you want to reach the level of 5Q, 6Q, and 7Q. So, last slide. Your journey for global presence starts here. It's, in my opinion, it's not global quality. It is global presence. Quality has to be excellent because quality is changing. There's no destination. It's changing, right? There's no fixed position for quality. You have to move up, move up, move up, move up. Because world is moving, customer demands are different. So start. Step 1 is dream. Step 2 is desire. Step 3 is develop, plan. Step 4 is dedicate yourself. You don't do it for money. You atmartham, this is what we say in Sanskrit. You must believe in it. I did one exercise in Lucas TVS. Workers are the best people. I put my purse in the shop floor, came back to my room. Within 15 minutes, my purse came back to my room. I used to have at the time 3,000 people. Nobody wants to steal. Right? And there is no useless people. We say useless. In my opinion, they are used less. If he's a good orthopedic surgeon, you can't ask him to do a heart surgery. Then he is useless for heart surgery. So if identify what is right for the person. So develop, dedicate yourself. Right? The next one is discipline. India lacks discipline. That's why we are still below. We believe we are indisciplined people. We are very intelligent people, but we are totally indisciplined. Until unless we get that, we will be finding it difficult to move up. Do. You can't learn swimming from mail or through net or YouTube. Right? You got to swim in the swimming pool. Last one is, if you do this, you deliver. And I am only added one more to the PDCA. PDCA is outdated. Deming, okay. We can say Deming, Geming and all those things. Plan, do, check, act. What do you plan? Even for planning, I put tip DCA. You need a target. And the target must be imagined. I want to be in Chandrayaan. I want to go on the southern side. That's the target. That is the imagination. How do I do? Then only PDCA will come. PDCA doesn't just drop from the heaven. So I put tip DCA, target, image, then do planning, do, check, act. And don't stop with act. That's also a fallacy there. In my opinion, it is tip DCA square, A square. What is that A? Achieve. And we learned a lot of good things from Japanese, but one or two bad things also. This gap analysis. The worst thing Indian companies learn today. Because all of us do gap analysis, so I am perfect. We don't want gap, zero gap. Why gap? So we need to achieve. So my humble submission to all of you is, please think differently. The world is waiting for us, right? It is not far off. Next 10, 15 years, you will see we'll be really top 1 or 2 in the world, but that doesn't happen with wish. Wish should be followed by will. Will should be followed by work. If we wish alone, make it. Tamil solvam, aasai irukku taasil panna. It's not possible. Wish, will, and work for it, then we'll become a world class. Wish you all the best. And if you want anything, my only suggestion to Swaminathan, this is available. You can circulate to the participants. Because knowledge must be shared. Knowledge cannot be put for few people alone. And you have got great people, but you youngsters, think differently, do differently. We are not inferior to anybody in this world. We are a better race. We can conquer the world. Wish you all the best.
So I was just thinking, what should I talk to all of you about? So the one thing that came to my mind is that I'm addressing a lot of people in the MSMEs, and I should talk about what is the barriers that we all have in India, because the opportunities in India today, both within India as well as outside India, is so much. So what is that we need to do to capture that opportunity, and what are the barriers that we have for capturing that opportunity? The first thing that came to my mind was quality. Quality is something, if someone asks me what is something that you're very scared of or gives you a sleepless night, it's only quality. I just want to give you a little bit about Rane Madras. In Rane Madras, we were a company which when I joined Rane Madras, I'll talk that way. When I joined Rane Madras in 2003, we were a company that was thought to get closed because we were in making mechanical steering gears. And as you know, mechanical steering gears went into hydraulics, then into EPS, and it's just continuously, now it's going to steer by wire, and there's so much technology which is coming in. So we had a difficulty at that time to figure out what are we going to do, because all our business was going away to our sister concern, ZF Rane, where they were making hydraulics, and then it went off to another sister concern, which was Rane NSK. It was going, and will Rane Madras as a company survive or not was a question that we had. But we felt opportunity was something that was there, and we only wanted to look at how we're going to use that opportunity to get ourselves better. So the opportunity that at that time that existed was we were making ball joints, which was part of the steering gear. So we said, okay, we'll become a global ball joint supplier. And we said, okay, we want to go global about it. And we went into ball joints. We went and talked to so many people. We got the business. That was not the issue. We got the business. But we could not sustain that business after about 5 years because we had quite a few quality concerns, and people were not confident about what we were doing. So I liked the presentation when I walked in, Mr. Ravi Shankar was making, and all of you would have heard that, build quality into the process, build quality into your design. Both are very important. And as I said, the opportunities are immense, and if you have to capture those opportunities, one of the main things is quality performance, and I think that's what Sir talked about so much and how we have to do. Sir, I know you think that we are at least in the third or fourth phase. I can tell you, companies like us, when I looked at it, I'm like, I still have inspections, I still have problems. So, yes. So all of us have those issues, and that's, as you go into exports, that's the one thing that can hurt you, like it hurt us. And for us to get the business back took another 8 years of constant working and convincing to get that. So the only thing we keep talking about in our businesses today is, what is the barrier that today India has? Is quality. So now when you ask yourself, why is quality a barrier for us? You would come to certain conclusions. One is discipline, which Sir talked about. Discipline is something that is not in us. And also, we as companies have issues with costs. And one of the places that we cut our costs is to have a temporary workforce which keeps coming into our factories and going out, and nor is our policies, government policies, helping us to have a long-term employment. So we have so many other issues that we say, okay, fine, we'll only have this temporary workforce coming and going. So the most important thing is to build the skill for these temporary workforce. So today we spend quite a lot of money and energy and methods to ensure that our employees are very well skilled to take care of quality. And as we are in a safety critical product, what happens for us is quality is of paramount importance for us, and even the smallest error someone makes, it causes a huge, huge cost. I just want to take a small incident that happened. So we are now thinking, okay, we are very good in quality. Now we've fixed all our processes. We are all perfect. We are all in 0 ppm. We don't have much issues. And then, this thing comes in of barcodes. Right now, everybody talks about barcodes and traceabilities and all of that, right? I can tell you in the last 3 years, we have got a record 20 concerns just on this barcodes. I don't think we ever thought of doing an FMEA for our barcodes, because there will be a different reader in the US. We'll have a different reader here. Our reader and their reader will not be compatible, and our printers are so different. And we have a moist climate, so one bar will be half there. And The whole thing. I think finally I told my team members that they have to do a complete PFMEA on barcodes. To what are all the failures that can happen? The reason I'm telling you this concept of this barcode, it's such a simple thing. But the amount of cost we would have spent on sorting for barcodes, I don't want even to tell you in crores how much we have spent. Because we have to go there, get one, their reader, make sure everything is read, because for them, productivity is the most important in the auto segment there. So for them, in their lines, they don't have people. It's only the robots which are there and which are just running and running and running and running. There's nothing there. So they don't have time. If this one is not read, their line stops. It's not like earlier the guy will just take it and put it and move. It doesn't happen like that. And it's technology. Technology keeps moving, and we in India also need to move our technology in a different way, especially in our manufacturing technology. We need to move differently. And today in India, we have the best technology possible. We have the maximum number of people. We have the best minds. India is a powerhouse of knowledge. But when it comes to execution, we all have a problem. So the leaders around here, one thing that we all have to think about is when all the people who were educated in India, when they go abroad, they are into innovation, they are into technology, they are the leaders of the best companies ever the world has created. But in India, what is stopping us from getting that? The one thing the leaders, as all of us as leaders should understand is the one thing that's stopping us is the environment that we create, the encouragement that we give for people to make sure that they're as creative as possible. And that is something that we all have to do. I know the Japanese and the Deming Award, they used to tell us, form QCCs, give them the opportunities and all of that. But now, that has become so repetitive that we don't think QCCs are as smart. Because we as human beings, we don't like to do the same things again and again and again and again. So we need to keep thinking of new things to keep the minds engaged so that they feel they're part of the world that is moved on. And that is up to all of us here to create that environment, that connection, so that we continue to engage all our people. And we have tremendous amount of knowledge here. In India is the best poised for excellent growth, and the world is saying that. And we have the biggest opportunity to get ourselves to that place. $5 trillion economy in 2030, going to be there. And they're saying that today MSME forms about 30% of the entire GDP. And the government is trying to poise ourselves to get to 40 to 50% MSMEs contributing to that. That means each one of us here have to be in the path of technology into innovation and doing different things, because our path's thought process was all in cost competitiveness through labor, cost competitiveness through the lower costs that we had. It doesn't work anymore like that. Innovation, technology are the ones which is going to get us to be competitive. And what is that we have? We have excellent people. Today's India's technology comes from people. We have the best people building machines at a very low, much lower cost. Not because the cost is low, not because we are making inferior products. The cost is low because we have innovated so much. If you saw the presentation of how we are using for the skull and the maxillofacial, I can't get that word, Sundarajan. I know your wife is your daughter is a dentist, and you seem to get that very often than I am. So for all these reconstruction, we're using technology. Additive technology, this is the best, and 3D printing is the best, and we are using what is possible. Like that, each one of us here, today in our company, if I have to tell you one story, we go for automated lines. And I have to tell you, I learned this from Super Auto Forge. So I went to their factory once, and I saw their lines were completely automated. And I asked them, how did they do it? Because we are Rane, right? So we are like, we only go to standard people. We go there, we'll go to Titan. We'll ask them, okay, what's the cost? They'll say it's 8 crores, it's 9 crores. We can't afford that. We'll say, okay, fine, we'll go for manual one and move on. When I talked to him, he said most of them was engineered within their company. So we went back. I went back. Yeah. So I went back to my company. I said, we should do the same. And I can tell you, my team members were able to do it. And I can tell you in our Pondicherry plant, today, one new machine is there. It's completely engineered, all robotized. And all of the work was done by not only our engineers, our operators who also joined in to make that happen. One of our operators actually gave an idea saying that, why should we have the robo in one place? Why don't we put a rail and move that robo? Okay, so we got cost efficiency, and the robo keeps running on the rail up and down and make sure what you have to do. And these ideas come from the people who are there. It's the environment, going back again, it's the environment that you create for these innovations and technologies to happen. And if you create those environments, definitely you can be as innovative as the US or the UK or any place. India is well poised to grow, and I think our government is doing quite a lot for our growth in terms of policies. We just have to utilize them and focus on technology and on innovation. One other thing before I end my talk I want to talk about is, we are all focused on technology and innovation, but as Indians, we don't focus on IPRs. And I would recommend that all the senior people here, please focus on IPRs. And that is something I would like NIQR and others to drive through so that people from the smaller segments go in and get their IPRs, because that is important for us, because this technology which is here should be remaining with us. Okay, we talked about frugal innovation, frugal technology, and all of that. That all came from the Indian mind. So IPR is something I would think that we should all focus on and get ourselves better. The world is our playground. So many opportunities, and everybody is looking at India, with China being source that the world is not too happy with right now. India seems to be the place where everybody is interested, so exports is a big possibility, but focus on quality, 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 quality. I can't say that more because I've gone through the pain of losing businesses because of quality. Just continue to keep focusing on quality. Just think of one reason that your line will stop. Everybody says, have I made my number? Have I made my number? Have I made my number? But if you think of why will a line stop? Most of the time, the line will stop only for a quality problem. It will not otherwise stop. So if you get your quality right, your numbers will automatically come. And we know this for many, many years, but still we keep talking about, where's your number, where's your number, where's your number, have you made that number, have you made the number? Instead, if we keep asking people, what are the quality issues you face, what are the quality issues you face, and we keep fixing them, our numbers will automatically start coming. So all the best to everyone. Thank you for this opportunity, and God bless India and all of you.
Good evening, everybody. I'll take around 18 to 20 minutes of the time due to the time limitation. I'll start just in a minute. Yeah. So there are 6 topics I'll be covering, 3 minutes each. First is, I'll start from where Mr. Sundaram Ramaswamy stopped. So I'm going to a lot of details. First is the quality management system, the systemic needs for the aerospace requirements. Second will be the customer requirements and benchmarking to overcome the barriers. That will be the second topic. Third is comprehensive testing and validation challenges. From the reliability perspective, reliability is a very important need from the aerospace requirement. Fourth is metrology and process quality challenges. Fifth is inward quality and supply ecosystem. Sixth will be a surface treatment, non-destructive testing, raw material standards, and the summary. So these are the topics. So I'll take around 18 to 20 minutes. So first is quality management. I think we have spoken a lot. I'm not going to elaborate this further. So a lot of the speakers are focusing on quality is contextual. Quality lies in the eyes of the beholder. Quality is fitness for use. It's for customer satisfaction. Doing things right the first time, 0 defects. And as Dr. Ravichandran was saying, it had started with the plan, do, check, act cycle, say around 25 years back, the Deming cycle. So now we need to move further. And from the aerospace perspective, the requirement is more into AS9100D systems. And it focuses based on the ISO 9001 base system, and it has a lot of specific requirements, what I'll touch upon in the subsequent slides. So summary, we have various management systems worldwide, as we have discussed from morning. One is the quality management. Second is environmental management, which has become mandatory for the aerospace requirement now. Third is health and safety, which is 45,000 base. So all are mandatory requirements for the aerospace industry today in Chennai. And our company is certified for all the three, and we are trying to improve further. The evolution of quality in the aerospace and defense started in 1950s in India, and we have gone through in the last, say, 70 years. We started with the basic inspection regime, then we slowly moved into control. So now we are into assurance, but we are not saying that we are perfectly into assurance. We are trying to move into the management system where AS9100D systems are mandatory for all the suppliers to the various customers in India as well as abroad. System-wise, documentation structure is similar to ISO 9001, where we need the 4 levels of documentation, where we need the quality manual, procedures and processes in terms of customer-oriented processes, management-oriented processes, and support-oriented processes. We need to have the work instructions, and we need to have the forms and checklists. So what is the intent? It goes through the customer focus. We need to have the leadership. We need to have the involvement of people. We need to have the process approach based on system. We need to have continual improvement. We need a factual approach, which is quite weak. We need to move ahead. Last but not the least, supply chain and supply development also needs to happen for Tier 2. So we need to have a lot of support from MSMEs. As the speakers are saying, we are having a defense corridor. We are going to move ahead in Chennai in the next 3 to 4 years in a very big way. So the key requirements, there are many requirements similar to the ISO 9000 requirements. There are 16 requirements in terms of production, in terms of product realization, design and development, purchasing, and non-conforming processes. We will touch upon the specific requirements. First is identification traceability. So it's a very important requirement from the AS9100D perspective, where we need to have a clear configuration management. Configuration management is a mandate from the AS requirements because we are going to have systems, subsystems, modules, as well as components which we import for the electronics purposes from US. So we need to have a very robust configuration management from the identification traceability perspective. As Mr. Sundaram Ramaswamy was also saying, we need to have 25 to 30 years backward and forward traceability, and it's a very specific requirement. Second specific requirement is foreign object debris. So we had an issue even in the last 3 to 4 days in the Pratt and Kevit engine. We had an issue of foreign object debris. What is a foreign object debris? For the aircraft industry, both for commercial as well as the defense, if you are going to have a foreign object in the product, what you are sending, it's going to become a big issue from the reliability perspective. So we need to have a system to ensure that the foreign object debris control techniques are used, right from the design, right from process, as well as having the proper packaging, the covers, as well as magnetic sweepers in the factory. Third requirement is electrostatic discharge. This is a mandatory requirement since we need to ensure that we are following the ESG safety standards. So there are specific 12 essential areas, starting with the clean room and going up to work surfaces, grounding, and specific garments and gloves. So we need to have a very robust ESG clean room system to ensure that the processes what we follow and deliver to the customer is in place. Fourth requirement is related to the extended producer responsibility. So this, our speakers also spoke, there are 2 specific areas. One is known as EPR, second is known as end of life. So this focuses on 4 Rs. Reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover. So that's what you are seeing in the left side and the right side. So EPR is a mandatory requirement, right from collection, transportation, treatment, and disposal of products from the aerospace perspective. Right side, you can see an example of how end-of-life requirements are in the aerospace segment, where it focuses on the 4 Rs. We need to reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover. We are seeing the example of how the used aircrafts, we go through the process of retirement, disassembly, dismantling, and recertification. So these are 2 examples related to the extended producer responsibility end-of-life requirements, which is mandatory for the aerospace. Next requirement is product safety. This is also mandated throughout the product life cycle management cycle, where right from the product design up to, we call it as cradle to crematorium. We need to ensure that we are identifying all the safety risks, build it in the design, build it in the process, and ensure that right from your supply chain, right from the supplier up to the crematorium stage, you are addressing all the issues and capturing the product safety. The next requirement is counterfeit prevention. So since we are importing a lot of components right now from US and Europe, we need to ensure that there is no counterfeiting. Example given in the last row, you can see, we are using a lot of memory chips in your company. If there is going to be a wrong memory chip which is going to be used, we might lose our business. So because our customers are more related to aerospace, Hindustan Aeronautics, we also deal with Semilac, DGAQA. We are also exporting to Korean defense. We are going to export to Hungary as well as UK. So the counterfeit prevention is a mandatory requirement where we follow a process which is known as COC and KOP, Certificate of Conformance from the suppliers, and we also follow a kit-off part system. So these two are mandatory from the prevention of counterfeit system. This is also a barrier. Last two barriers, spacecraft standards and challenges. We are also started making satellites in various zones, right from a cube satellite up to a mini satellite. So we are slowly building up, working with the universities like the Thapar University in Punjab. The cube satellite is a, say, 100-gram satellite. A mini satellite can go up to 500 kgs. So we are into the satellite making from last year. So this will mature as a product in the next couple of years. So we need to follow the ISO 19683 standards to ensure that the satellites, what we do, follow the specific processes, procedures, and systems. Right side, you can see the software and hardware development. So we have a very strong team of around 650 members who do hardware development. They are also doing the software development. They are also in the mechanical design and development. So this captures more on the hardware and the software side. The two mandatory standards are, for software, we need to follow the DO 178 system. For the hardware integration of the software, we are supposed to follow the 254 system. Why this is mandatory? We use a lot of PLDs, programmable logic devices. We use application-specific integrated circuits. We also use field programmable gate arrays. So for all this, the integration of hardware and software is very much relevant, important from a high-level requirement and low-level requirement. So we need to do the verification validation. We call it as IVNV, which is independent verification validation. So this is a mandatory requirement both for India as well as abroad. So the second topic, we'll spend 3 minutes on customer focus, competitiveness, and cost. We had a lot of deliberations on this. So it is a 3C, 6P project, 6P, focus. We need to have the bottom of the pyramid, which is people, which I think Ms. Gauri Kailasam and Dr. Ravichandran have touched up very elaborately. And we need to have a plant which is based on the basic TPM 5S approach. We need to have a process which is based on quality management system. We need to have the product which is based on reviews and a rotating PDCA. Project management is of paramount importance for us. We have around 200 plus project management team members who continuously drive the projects. We make radars, we make electronic warfare systems for the army. We also make automatic test equipment, and we also make satellites. So the project management is the heart and soul for our organization. We have around 150 to 200 project managers. Last but not the least, leadership excellence through profitability and productivity improvement projects needs to happen continually. So we have elaborated enough on this: requirement, expectation, satisfaction, perception, and delight. So these are the 5 steps from the customer focus perspective. So what is the need? The customer's expectation has to be met by performance based on consistent results. So we need to move from a need to a want, to a satisfaction, to a perception, to a delight scenario. Easy to talk, very difficult to walk. It may take 2 to 3 decades for you to move from a need perspective to a delight perspective. It's easier said than done. So this is the overall customer supplier model. So right side is business results. Business results are driven by customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction is through consistent performance related to QCD, quality, cost, and delivery, which is based on predictable operations if it's going to be manufacturing. The manufacturing has to be supported by robust designs where 2 things come into play. One is material capabilities. This is very important for aerospace. Second is process capabilities, even if it is outsourced, make or buy. So we need to align to the customer requirements, achieve the business results based on this model. So now, as Gauri Kailasam also touched up, we are more into a department focus. We need to move from a department to a process focus. So only the sequence and interaction of processes drive the performance, customer satisfaction metrics, not the departments. It's again easier said than done because we have a mental barrier. We try to work based on a departmental approach, which might not work in the future. Right is a benchmarking graph. X-axis talks about a sigma level. Y-axis talks about the ppm, parts per million. As Dr. Ravichandran was saying, we need to move towards parts per trillion. It's not that easy. So right now, India is at around 3.5 sigma level. We are at, say, 4 to 5 digit ppm. We need to move towards a 3 digit, 1 digit ppm across processes, across business process, not only quality. Benchmarking is a tool which was touched upon by many of the speakers. So we need to continuously have a method of measuring and comparing our firms' business processes, identify the gaps, which was told by Ms. Gauri also, and we need to incorporate leading firms' processes into one strategy. So this is going to be a continuous process where we need a benchmarking. Examples you can see, Toyota for processes up to Honda for rapid product development. In fact, the Japanese, they have drastically brought down the new product development to say around 36, 37 months for a new car to around 27, 28 months, the last 10 years. So we need to have a benchmarking process inbuilt into our system. So there are a lot of examples. You can benchmark your primary activities, support activities, as well as management activities. It can be infrastructure, HR, it can be procurement, it can be logistics, marketing, service operations. And how do you do that? We need to do the rotating PDCA. We need to have the continuous improvement, breakthrough improvement, continuous improvement cycle to ensure that we are able to sustain the business in a long run. The third topic is reliability-related challenges. We have a lot of challenges from the aerospace segment. So one is verification and validation. Verification is a prediction before in non-use conditions. Validation is an evidence in use conditions. So we need to have a clear-cut process established for both verification and validation. So right, you can see the example of Boeing 777, which was developed, say, 30 to 35 years back, which is consistently performing. And you need to have a live testing, which is based on reliability testing, which has to run to failure. So what is reliability and durability? Tamil soluna reliability is nambagatanmai, durability is needithoikum tanmai. So it is very easy to talk, but a lot of activities, validations need to be done to ensure that we are giving a quality, reliability and a durability product. So the things which comes in as your Hooke's law, basic Hooke's law, we need to have clear understanding of stress versus strain. So where is the elastic region? Where is your yield strength? Where is your UTS? Where is your breaking strength? That's where it starts. So based on that, from the product testing perspective, you have to start with the stress levels where the basic, your specification limit, then you'll have to move towards, we move into environmental stress screening, then we move into HASS, which is known as highly accelerated stress screening. Fourth is we challenge the fundamental limits of technology, which is known as HALT, which is highly accelerated life test. So all these are mandatory. So there are 5 indicators from the reliability prediction perspective. We need to work on MTTF, mean time to failure. We need to work on MTBF, mean time between failures. So that is with rework, this is without rework. Mean time to detect, which is very important from the failure analysis perspective. Mean time to repair once you detect the failure. Last but not the least, all this will need to be focused as a metric from the analysis and problem solving perspective. So these are examples of product failure, bathtub curve and HASS testing. So there are 3 types of failures what we encounter in aerospace: hard failures, soft failures and intermittent failures. So the treatment is different. For hard failures, it is more related to your vibration testing. Soft failures are more related to environmental testing. Intermittent failures more related to, it's elusive. We need a mix of all the 3. So what are the tests we do? We focus on environment related to temperature. It can also be related to vibration. It can be related to power cycle. Sometimes all the 3 put together. So why we do this? You can see the bathtub curve on the right-hand side. So the constant random failures plus the infant mortality plus wear-out failures will be the observed failure rate. So we need to have a clear analysis to understand where is infant mortality occurring, what is your constant failure and what is your wear-out failure. So we do a comprehensive reliability and durability verification validation to assess the life of the product and go towards corrective actions. HALT is a very important test for us. So you can see 3 examples there. So it is highly accelerated life testing where we simulate the particular product, take it to the actual use conditions and see how the product performs in the closed use conditions. So the middle portion talks about how do you finalize the design limits based on multiple iterations. And variable distribution is a important statistical tool which is helping us to understand how the field failures occur. So that we are starting, I'm not saying we are doing it, but we need to move into Fable. On the right-hand side, you can see stresses used in HAL. There are multiple mechanical, thermal, environmental stresses, electrical, where we used to assess the stresses and improve the product. Fourth challenge is metrology and process quality challenges. So we have seen this slide. So as we are discussing, we are at around 15% COPQ of sales, and we are at 3.5 sigma levels. We need to move towards 4.5 sigma. Japan is way ahead. They are around 1.25 sigma ahead. Right-hand side, accuracy and precision are very critical challenges for us. So accuracy focuses more on the location of the data, precision focuses on the spread of the data. So we need to focus on accuracy, precision, as well as the distribution of the data. So we have started work on that based on metrology. Specific example is related to radio frequency. So we use a lot of analyzers, vector network analyzers. It can be a scalar for magnitude or a vector for phase and magnitude. So for us to arrive at the proper metrology calibration for the vector network analyzers, it may take 3 to 4 months. So we are also outsourcing from Germany. Now we are trying to build in the internal technology so that we will be able to move ahead in the next 3 years. We have used the terminology quality assurance plan, QAP, which is again a PDCA approach for the aerospace. We follow a left side product design process. We also follow a process design process. So product design process goes through the DFMEA QAP product standards route. The process design process goes through PFMEA root card route. They call it as root card, based on the assembly instructions for mechanical, hardware, and electricals. Right side talks about the common causes and special causes. It's quite easy to handle special causes, quite tough to handle common causes because it is more 90% management related. We have a long way to go. Supply chain challenges, that is the fifth topic. We have a lot of subcontractor suppliers in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Chennai. We are closely working with them. We have categorized them as A, B, C. We are working with them right now. It may take another 3 to 4 years. We are trying to move them away from a problem detection to a problem prevention model, where we are trying to move from capturing the voice of the product to the voice of the process, whereby we will be able to move towards zero defect scenario. We are nowhere near right now. So this is the summary of the previous slide. So we need to move away from a critical to quality characteristic to a critical to process characteristic, move from a product problem focus to a variation process cost focus. And one more point, what Mr. Sundaram Ramaswamy has touched upon, we need to go towards NATCAP accreditation for all our suppliers for special processes. And we do a continuous audit. We also ensure that the suppliers in the supply chain in Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Chennai move towards the NATCAP. So NATCAP is slowly becoming mandatory. And as Mr. Ramaswamy is touching upon, it is controlled by the Performance Review Institute, PRI. So we have started work on that. So we are moving slowly towards moving them towards NATCAP, more for the mechanical. We are doing a lot of mechanical integration. It's a 180, 200 crores project, which we work with Godrej, we work with Bangalore suppliers. So we are going to complete it in the next 1.5 years. So what are special processes? As Mr. Sundaram Ramaswamy gave a lot of examples. So all these are covered here. It can be chemical processing, coatings, composites, elastomer seals, electronics, fluid distribution, heat treatment, NDT. It can be a non-metallic materials manufacturing, sealants, welding. So all this we need to upgrade and move towards a prevention mode and improve the process. These are some examples. The Boeing example, we have a lot of standards like Semilac, as well as the DGAQA and the Korean Defense. They ask for a lot of standards. We are also slowly moving into commercial aircraft business. Boeing had visited us last week, so we need to understand all the Boeing standards. We have taken the first step in terms of surface treatment. Right side, you can see the examples of composites, the material selection, and how do you improve on the surface treatment and materials. So composites might be the in thing in the next 3 years. Non-destructive testing, we do it at 3 levels. Visual inspection. Second is liquid dye penetrant based for the surface cracks. For the subsurface cracks, we focus more on UT and RT. So these are all becoming mandatory. We have already started following it from last year. Raw material challenges, we have aerospace material specifications. So we need to go through AMS and we need to ensure that we are selecting the right material, metal alloys, and the composites to ensure that we don't have any reliability, durability issues on a later date, since it's quite stringent and the durability requirements are close to 2 to 3 decades. Last summary. So summary of what we discussed in the previous slides. There are 8 specific elements what you need to work on. product functionality, product testing, new product development system, failure modes and effects analysis, validation of the product and process, cross-functional team and project management. Seventh is a major challenge for us, supply chain management, because we have a lot of MOQ issues. Minimum order quality is a big challenge, where we need to make 5 or 6 items, whereas the cost is going to be quite high. To develop a supplier is a big challenge for us. We have started working on that. As Gauri also touched, technology, we need to work further. Right now, we are also working on the various technologies, try to bring in-house Indian-based technologies so that the export content comes down slowly. So last but not the least, human quality is very important. We need to move towards interdependency. Dependency or the independency will not work. So what are the 15 attributes? You need to be complete, clear and concise, have the desire, decision and determination, be natural, neutral and normal, be simple, straight and systematic, have the perseverance, patience and passion. So if you are able to do this, we will be able to take Tamil Nadu and India ahead. So I thank NIQR, my management. I have various sources to collect, my employees, family, India, and the audience for the great opportunity. So finally, to conclude, a big thank you to everyone. So please also support Data Patterns. We are slowly moving to the next step in terms of innovations and technology. So I thank you all for your patient hearing. So let me complete with 3 statements. One by Subramania Bharati. Uchi meedu vaanirindu vizhuginra bodilum achamillai achamillai acham enbadileye. Second, by Vivekananda, which was quoted in the morning also, எழுமின் விழுமின். Third is Matram Tharum Etram. So we need to continuously change, continuously improve for us to become a global player by 2047. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you.
It's a tough act to be the last speaker, but I'll try to make it interesting. Right. So I've been doing AI projects for more than 10 years now, and can we get my slide on, please? I've been doing AI projects for more than 10 years, and it has got its own share of problems that I wanted to share. Right? And as we all know, we have been seeing tremendous technological improvements in the field of artificial intelligence. I'm sure many of you would have tried the ChatGPT. How many of you have tried ChatGPT? Actually, as an experiment, what I did was I gave a summary of my credentials and let it generate the whatever we saw about me, right? That was written by ChatGPT, actually. So it was as an experiment. I tried that. It was a little bit cringy, but I think it did a reasonably good job, right? Here's the next one. Okay. So these are 3 challenges that I'm going to talk about, right? And there are many other challenges and there are many opportunities, but I'll focus on the first challenge is how do we measure the business impact of an AI project, right? And it's very important when, any company wants to bring artificial intelligence to, its processes or, how do you measure and how do you make sure that it's successful? Then the next one is, again, becoming a big topic, which is how do we prevent bias and fairness and trust in models, right? Because we are seeing that the AI and models are being used to automate a lot of processes, but can we trust the AI to do the right thing and without any bias? And it's very important. I'll touch upon that. And finally, is AI just a black box, or can I explain why an artificial intelligence model gave a particular decision, right? So let me share some example from the projects that I have done. This is the biggest thing that we will build an AI model, right? And we'll have a machine learning model built. For us as a technical people, right? It'll be very good. But when we take it to the customer and they see something and then they say, why is this particular in this particular scenario, it gave the wrong response. Right? They would have. So, it is probabilistic. So, what we need and what we do with and what we need to do from a business is instead of looking at it from a metrics in terms of okay, it's 85% accurate or it is giving 95%, it's correct 95% of the time. We need to look at it from the business goals. What is it that I want to do with the AI system, which will make my business processes simpler, where I will get an improvement, and what is the metrics to identify the success? It could be a turnaround time. The process that I was doing for which used to take a day, now it's done in an hour, right? Or my customer who was calling and I have a customer support, and the satisfaction was poor, but now I have put a chatbot and the customer satisfaction has improved, right? So we need to have the business goal and metrics in terms of how we identify the success of AI, right? And it also requires a little bit of business processes to be tuned to consume the AI effectively, right? You cannot just bring in an AI and put in right into your business processes as is. What we have to look at is, let's say, for example, you want to some low-value transactions, you want to let it automatically be handled by the AI. You need to also see how I can handle that. It's not going to be 100% accurate. So how do I make sure that whatever I'm letting it through automatic, there is some kind of additional checks. Maybe there is multiple documents that are here. Can I do a consistency between these two documents? And if it's consistent, then maybe I can process it automatically, right? So there needs to be some amount of relook at your business processes where you are consuming the AI, and make sure that the processes handle this, maybe not 100%, but it gives me this, it satisfies the metrics that I have defined for my AI system, right? So once you have this understanding between the business and the technical team in terms of why I am implementing this AI solution, right? What are the challenges that I will have? What are the business processes that I need to tweak? What are the metrics that I need to track so that my AI is successful? Then, actually building the AI model is probably very easy, right? From a technical perspective, people have been doing it for a while, and with the newer technologies, it becomes easier and easier. But again, the business processes and business mindset and the success criteria is what is important here. The next point I want to talk about is the model bias, right? And these are real articles from from the US, but you get the idea, right? The models, when you talk about AI, the AI is artificial intelligence, right? So how do we create an AI system? We train the system by giving it some inputs and say, okay, if this is the if this is the input, this has to be the output, right? So it's kind of what we call as a supervised modeling, right? So what happens is the data that gets used to train an AI model can have bias inherent to it, right? Maybe I'll take a hypothetical bank example, right, where you're building a model to approve loans, and maybe the data is coming from one particular type of region with one particular type of demographic, right? And all that information is going to get pushed into your model, right? Maybe there is over-representation of male than female, right, in the training data that was given. And so the model then thinks that, okay, being a male will give a higher weightage than for females, and that's not fair, right? And this problem has been seen by various companies which will build the model, and they have to relook at how the data has been curated, how they have trained the system, and how they can continuously monitor your AI system so that there is no bias, right? So what we need is what we call as the trustworthy AI. How can you trust the AI? There are three main parts. We need to trust the data. How do you trust the data? Right? There needs to be a governance in terms of data, where the data is coming from, right? What we call as the lineage of the data. And that's actually one of the problems even with the large language models, or like the GPT and all, right? People are saying, where are you getting this data to train your large language models, the generative AI, right? So whether I can trust that it doesn't have data which is not correct, or where it's biased, or it's politically incorrect, right? All those problems are there in terms of where the data is coming from where you are building your AI system. And then when you're building the model itself, you need to look about whether I can measure the model bias. How do I identify whether the model is biased towards any of the weaker parameters, like, whether it could be the gender, it could be a race, it could be, religion or caste or whatever, right? So I need to be able to identify whether the model is inherently biased, and I should also be able to explain why a model is taking a particular decision, right? And then there has to be a process in place where, there needs to be an approval, there needs to be, continuous development that's happening in the model. There is a control over how your model is being built, right? So what we have within IBM, what we have built is a product which does that for your model lifecycle. I'll talk about a couple of those aspects from that product, right? So we have what we call as a bias detection. So what we do is we identify what are the monitored attributes that are being used for creating the model. So in this case, it's ethnicity, right? So here we have a metric which says, if it's a minority, then there is a bias of 5%, and there is a way to improve the outcome by 7%, right? So you get a dashboard, you get a view of, you identify what are your, the attributes that you want to monitor, and then all through your life cycle of building the model, you will be able to monitor those attributes and make sure that there is no inherent bias that gets into your model, right? And that becomes very, very important to track. And not just one attribute or two attributes, there could also be a related attribute. Maybe you only provided the gender and the race, right? But it could also be that there is an inherent bias on the location, right? The address or the pin code, in which there's a certain type of rich, affluent people living in one pin code, and not so rich in another, and there is more loans being approved for that, and not for the other not so rich people, right? So that bias also can be monitored. That's also important to monitor those kind of non-feature correlation, right? So there's a correlation between people living in a particular area and the approval or non-approval of that particular loan, sticking to that same loan example, right? The other aspect is the model explainability, and this is the third problem that we have, where a lot of AI models are black box in nature, right? There are simpler models, but once you go for more complex AI models, they become black box. It's very difficult for you to understand why it is making a particular decision, right? So there needs to be a way to simplify that in terms of understanding a model and explaining why it is making certain decisions, right? So that is the challenge of model explainability. There are definitely research that has happened, and there are tools like the one that I'm showing here, which can explain a model, why a particular decision is being made by an AI model, and also do a what-if analysis, right? What if I change the location of this, keeping every other attribute the same? If I just change the pin code of a particular applicant, does that decision change from denied to approve? If it is, then there is definitely a bias there, right? Because every other attribute being the same, this should not be the one that is causing the decision, right? So this is again another way in which you should be able to explain why a model is making a particular decision, and see what are the influential features. What is the data set, or data point, which is influencing the decision, right? As you can see, the location here is influencing it really high, like 33% in this particular example, right? So you can see what is influencing the decision, and once you have this kind of a model explainability, then you can say, okay, maybe there's some problem the way I have created the model. The location is not the one that should be determining the way my model is working, right? So so once you have a way to explain a model, then you can make corrective actions. You can also do what-if analysis and keep improving the model, right? So this is my last slide, right? So I just wanted to leave with a thought and a comic, right? So I'll give you a few seconds to read it. And this is, it's funny, but also it's a genuine problem that's going to come in the next, few years, right? How do you make sure that we are building really powerful systems through this, what do you call it, generative AI, the large language models. But how do we make sure that we have control over what it can do and what it cannot do? How can we make sure that it's not creating a, Terminator movie kind of scenario, right? So that's definitely going to be one of the challenges, and I'm sure we will, smart people working on this will also surmount this challenge. All right, thank you for the opportunity. It's really an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Magesh. I think it's quite insightful to know the challenges of AI. In fact, AI is now the order of the day. A lot of places. In fact, I have also experienced AI given a different result, and I made a wrong judgment because of AI. There's a couple of incidents has happened in me in my profession that based on AI make a decision and the decision was wrong because I cannot blindly believe the AI because there is a bias. And I understand that the trustworthy AI needs to be developed with the process, the data model, and this is very important. In fact, this sometimes I used to tell my team that don't just believe the AI because we need to believe the input what we give is the output what we get. It is the same. And sometimes, and again, the percentage of comparison of the model or the actuals with the AI, it depends on the judgmental what we need to do. Thank you very much. And now I request Dr. Ravichandran to give a session chairman to give the concluding remark.
Right. I think it's already getting late for you, and it will take a couple of hours in Chennai to reach your home, so I won't delay much. Don't worry about it. I think the three speakers have done extremely well in bringing their points to you. So please give them a big hand. Gauri brought out very clearly what are the opportunities available for Indian companies and what is the business winner. And that can be done only through what she said is technology, discipline, and environment you have to create. This is the duty of professionals like us to create that in the organization. We can't simply copy. You can't bring a German line in India and then say it will be cost effective. It will never be cost effective. We are Indians. We have got our own culture. We have got our own environment. We have got our own capability. How do you bring in those technologies, modify it to suit our situation and win? That is the challenge. Not simply take a line from here that will never work. So she brought out very clearly. Of course, Natarajan's subject is new to all of us. We fly in the plane. We don't want to understand fully. All we understand is where to sit, how to behave within the aircraft and get out. Whereas it's a new concept of what he brought about aerospace and the quality and the AS 9100, how it's important. Because there is no defect. It should not be zero defect. It has to work for longer years. Zero defect today, zero failure today, and zero failure for the reliability. What is the reliability is how the product performs consistently for the agreed time without failure. And he brought out very clearly all the test procedures and the controls. And companies who are dealing with that, please get in touch with him so that we are in the process to develop aerospace and defense industries. That's the future. So his input will be of great value to us. NIQR can have a separate session on the defense and aerospace product. So that's new to many companies who are going to supply. That will be of great help. I request Murali to fix one half-a-day session in depth so that people will understand. Of course, artificial intelligence, it is not artificial, right? Somehow I'm confused with the word by the IBMs and others. It is artificial intelligence. No. It's a real intelligence you are bringing in. It's not artificial intelligence. Please tell your managing directors, right? If it is Google, it is Pichai or your other gentleman from India, rethink the name itself. It is not artificial. The intelligence is given by the individuals, the human beings. This machine cannot think. Let's understand. But unfortunately, our Indian industries think, and the managing directors think, oh, have we got AI? Yes, we have. So can I also have AI? So they go and ask Gauri or somebody, oh, can you put some 4 or 5 missions under AI? So you are in the same club. Please don't do that. What is right? Another danger we are having in India, see, India has got people. You don't need a driverless car, right? Because even in India, cars are driven by drivers. It's as if they don't have a driver. You know how we all drive. So what is needed for India is important. In US, when a truck driver costs you $17,000 to $18,000, right? So you need an artificial intelligence so that you need a platoon or like a railway truck or a trolley compartments or goods train. The first truck will go, the others will follow. That's okay, not for India, right? For example, I know a company has developed artificial intelligence hybrid vehicles, right? I'm not criticizing Toyota. But when you travel, you will see pim, 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 right? Because you cannot, in India, the cyclist will kiss you. You cannot, the artificial intelligence will drop and stop. So be clear about what we want, right? So this is on data. We are very good, early days, data collection. I tell you, data is to be collected where it is needed. We all come from village. My grandmother used to do in village. I'm talking 1955, 58, like that. We used to have cows in our house in village, and of course, many ox and etc. We never had a buffalo. Because Tamil Nadu, buffalo is considered North India, Delhi, not for South. So very rare. So buffalo milk is given by a milkman who will come in a cycle with a big milk can. And every day my grandmother used to buy buffalo milk, some quantity. At that time she knows about Kanban, but she doesn't know the word Kanban. So every day there is a measure. He will put one measure or two measure. He won't get 1.5 measure, 1.2, no. Same. And how will you enter? She never had a notebook. She never gone to school. We used to have a perai, if you know, in villages where we light the lamp, right, in the evening. There will be a ahal velak, right? And it will be, carbon is there. Every day what she will do is, today you have given 3 containers, or whatever you call. She will take her thumb, put 3 dots. Next day 2, she'll put 2 dots. End of the month, the milkman, my grandmother, will sit there and, oh, 36, about 3 annas per whatever it is. So he's paid, she'll take a lime and clean up the whole thing. You don't need the data for analysis. What did I do on June 4th of 1942? How many milk I have done? What is it I have done in 2025? Is stupidity. No need. I'm very open on this. Most of our companies are happy with collecting data, doing an analysis. You don't need. You need analysis where it is needed. You need data where it is to be collected. Be clear on this. Otherwise, you'll be saddled with data. You don't know what to do. Right? So this is my telling. Same way SOP. I was talking to Gauri. Japanese taught a lot of good things, but SOP is not needed everywhere. In most of the companies, let's be honest about it, we cannot go away from truth. In most of the companies, Indian companies, SOP is for visitors and for certification. Right? How many of you have got SOP to go home? Please tell me. Have you ever gone to a neighbor's house by wrongly? You don't have an SOP. So if that becomes a habit, you don't need an SOP. So our job is how to make it as a habit. I've seen Japan. I've seen many times Japan, many companies. Not that everywhere SOP is there. Here auditors, ISO, customer, you got SOP? A graduate engineer comes, asks for SOP. Right? That's all. He doesn't know what is SOP. So we are going to be careful and bring out what is real. Otherwise you waste time, money. And Gauri brought out a point today, speed. Survival of the fastest. Not fittest. There are many fit people, but if you are not fast enough, you are not there. So keep these things in mind. And of course, technology is going to drive it. So you must know what is right for us. This is very important. I'll just go to 1 or 2 slides, which I I don't know how to move it. This I reserved for the last, so that we remember. We need a mindset change from screen to scene. On the left side, the husband is in US, wife in India, both want to have a child. They simultaneously enter the computer button, enter. The child is born in a printer in Singapore. Human life is touch and feel. So don't touch only keyboard, mouse and mobile. No, we are all very good in that. Right? Even my grandchild is children always going like this. Right? The thumb is very, very overworked. Right? So what I say is, what we need is touch and feel people. Don't go back and touch a girl or a, right? You will be in trouble. The Ravichandran told touch people. No. When I say touch people, you must understand. Touch the product. Right? If you don't touch the product, you cannot improve your product, your process. Touch the process. What Gauri was bringing and Natarajan was bringing is process. Then only touch the customer. Many times customer comes, right? Many of go on leave or on tour or attend a global quality convention, you are not available to meet the customer. Some customer is customer. Right? It is going to be like that. So have your mindset change. Please move from screen to screen. You need screen. But today we are all, nobody. Last one, I inaugurated a course. In fact, I designed a course at Shastra 2015. I retired, maybe I think 2011 or so. Because manufacturing never takes the front seat. So I started with Mr. Sethuraman and Vaidyanathan and others, a 5-year course, M.Tech, B.Tech, right, on manufacturing. And even today they are doing it very well. So I designed the syllabus along with them, not that I alone did. I went to inaugurate from Tanjavur to. On the way, I went by car, I saw in a paddy field, an old man with a half dhoti, tundu mattum kattinde, having a cell phone. So I stopped the car and went and asked him, ஒரு கேள்வி கேட்கலாமா அந்த தமிழ்ல கேளுங்க அப்படின்னாரு. நீங்கள் இது வச்சுருக்கீங்களே யாரோட பேசுகிறீங்கன்னு, இது எதுக்காக வச்சுருக்கீங்கன்னு அவர் தமிழில் சொன்னார். என்ன தம்பி உனக்கு உலகமே தெரியாதான்னார். இல்லைங்க நீங்கள் வச்சுருக்கீங்கன்னா ஒரு இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட்டுக்காக கேட்டேன் யாரோட பேசுவீங்கன்னு. தம்பி உண்மையை சொல்கிறேன், இது வெறும் பொட்டி தான், உள்ள ஒன்றும் கிடையாது. இதை அப்பப்போ காதில் வச்சுப்பேன், அப்போ தான் எங்கள் கிராமத்தில் மதிக்கிறாங்க. ரைட்? That is the way we are tuned. Nothing wrong. New gadgets, new technology is needed. But we have got to size it, shape it to our requirements. Keep that in mind. All the best to you.
Thank you so much. So na soladhukku munadi I think they are ready. So yes, session coordinator Mr. Shanmugam Sundaram sir vanda is felicitating the chairperson Dr. N. Ravichandran sir. So let's give a very, very big round of applause. So much. So time to honor our eminent speakers. I request Dr. N. Ravichandran sir to come forward. So as name follows, first Mrs. Gauri. Thank you so much. Next, Mr. S. Natarajan. Thank you so much. Next, Mr. Mahesh Rajamani. request Anuradha ma'am to take the dais.
Thank you so much.